Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to yet another one of my The Man in the High Castle videos and a breakdown of the synopsis of Season 3. So apparently I totally missed the synopsis of the season while I was busy making my video on the trailer sort of scene released in NYCC. But thanks to Sarah Wilmot, a commenter on my trailer breakdown video, I now know there is a synopsis for the upcoming season out there, and an interesting one at that. The synopsis does seem as well to agree with some of my predictions on my trailer breakdown video, which kinda gives me more confidence in my predictions and expectations out of Season 3. But before I venture any further, let's check out the synopsis first. Season 3 of the Emmy Award-winning The Man in the High Castle finds Juliana Crain grappling with her destiny after seeking safety in the neutral zone. Realizing that their fates are intertwined, she works with Trade Minister Tagomi to interpret the mystery of the last remaining films. Meanwhile, as tensions between the Reich and the Empire continue to rise, Joe Blake returns from Berlin and is sent on a diplomatic mission to San Francisco, where he and Juliana reunite and come to a turning point in their relationship. Also in the new season, John Smith finds himself celebrated by Nazi high society, but political forces are closing in as North American Reichsmarshal Lincoln Rockwell and J. Edgar Hoover plot against him. Helen takes drastic action to protect her family while they struggle with the aftermath of Thomas' death, and Smith also learns of a shocking and ambitious new Nazi program that has personal and global ramifications. Jason O'Mara joins the cast as a series regular this season. O'Mara plays Wyatt Price, who fled the war in Europe and whose family immigrated to New York from Ireland as refugees, then fled west again ahead of the Nazi invasion. Like most in the neutral zone, Wyatt has learned to survive as a hustler, trading in various black market goods and services, with his connections far-reaching. He is more than just a survivor. He believes in what America was and what the neutral zone still is, a melting pot worth saving. Now, I'm not really gonna dig into the description given to Wyatt's character, considering this is not really new. This description has been out there for a while now, and I've already discussed it on an earlier video. But it is kinda safe to assume that with Juliana starting off the season in the neutral zone, she's probably gonna end up meeting with Wyatt early on, possibly right off the bat and on the premiere. Also, so far the Constant Resistance has not had a strong figure to its name, both in terms of acting and role on the series. Now, that's kinda true. I've been liking the portrayals of some of the characters presented as Resistance on Seasons 1 and 2, but adding a strong actor like Jason O'Mara in more of a pivotal role that reeks Resistance is probably going to be a breath of fresh air. But circling back to the first part of the synopsis, we're pretty much given a lot of information that we didn't have as of the end of Season 2. I'm guessing that's gonna keep us some company until Season 3 arrives in 2018. So let's get to breaking down the hell out of this synopsis. Number 1. It was pretty clear that the last time we saw Juliana in Season 2, she was no more in New York. Meeting with Abinson, it seemed she possibly went back to Japanese territory, which did not really make much sense either. So we were left with the bigger chance of her being in the neutral zone, which is pretty much confirmed by the synopsis. But moving on to number 2. Last we saw Juliana, she's also been reunited with her presumed dead sister Trudy, or an alternate version of her. Now, there seems to be no mention of Trudy on the synopsis, but I suppose it is safe to assume that she's probably right where Juliana is in the neutral zone. Now, since it is pretty much safe to assume that Juliana's meetup with Trudy happened in the neutral zone at the end of Season 2, could it be safe to assume this Trudy is the one from Juliana's reality and not a copy? When you kind of think about it, the setting itself helps with such an assumption. It is kind of possible she had to stay in the neutral zone to make sure she's not found by the Japanese, now that she's some sort of resistance celebrity. But moving on to number 3. Now, I've heard this one question more than I could remember since the end of Season 2. Why did Lem Washington deliver the films to Tagomi at the very end of Season 2? Well, in my personal opinion, the answer was pretty clear back then, but it's even clearer with this synopsis. Abinson had made it clear at the very end of Season 2 he believes and trusts in the basic goodness of Juliana. Juliana, in turn, believes and trusts in both the decency and kindness of Tagomi. We also know that Lem and his crew report to Abinson, and I don't think I really need to spell it out any further. But anyway, it does seem pretty clear that Juliana is gonna make it back to the Japanese states, and moving forward from that point, she's gonna be working with Tagomi on deciphering the rest of the films in order to understand their indications and implications. I can imagine as well Tagomi would trust Juliana with his interdimensional traveling secret. We'll probably watch him tell her about her alternate version and how on that side she's this woman he believes is great and how they are as well related by marriage. That's probably going to be a fun conversation to watch them have. But moving on to number 4. Now last we saw Joe Blake on Season 2, he was arrested along with his father by SS officers, but it is evidently clear from the synopsis he's going to be cleared of all charges. And while we can't really tell how it would happen, I could almost guarantee John Smith and his continued presence in Germany for at least the length of the premiere will probably have something to do with it. The relationship between Smith and Blake has always been a strange one. Smith has always sounded like he minimally cares for Joe, while caring more for the work that comes out of him. But there was always this part of Smith that clearly seemed to care for Blake on a deeper level, much deeper than the whole cost-benefit relationship they seem to have had over the course of the first couple of seasons. I'm guessing it's that emotional soft spot that's gonna have Smith put in a good word for Joe, getting him out of his predicament, while Hootsman probably remains to rot in a cell. But moving on to number 5. Another part about Joe meeting up with Juliana in San Francisco confirms as well this is where she would do her work with Tagomi, so we should definitely expect her to make it back home on Season 3. With her being wanted by the Japanese, the question that remains here is how she would make it back. Now I think that post Tagomi saving the day, presenting Kido with the film that stopped the impending war, Tagomi will be celebrated, even though possibly put under a lens watching his every move. After all, the film that he managed to bring back from the alternate reality should raise a lot of questions and eyebrows. But I support that Kido at least would support an attempt at Tagomi's to bring Juliana back to San Francisco with a clean slate. On another note, I can't really define or identify what the turning point in their relationship here would be like. I mean, Juliana is a little bit of a strange character. While her character build and the things she's been through sounds like resistance, she was never really all that much about resisting. She pretty much knew what she was in for when she allowed Joe to make his escape at the end of Season 1. She went looking for him when she made it to New York on Season 2. So the entire thing about who he works for might not really be an issue for her. But then again, maybe it would. But worth noting here that there is no mention on the synopsis of either Joe or Nicole. If all goes well and the show does not decide to pull a stupid stunt just to keep a character alive, then Joe is probably gone for good. And in this case, if we ever end up seeing him, he would probably be an alternate reality version. Now on the other hand, with Nicole there are still a lot of questions. We've got no clear idea what her real intentions were when it comes to Joe. How much did she really care for him? A lot of fans as well were expecting a genetically perfect German baby coming there. That's what the whole them doing Get Close to the End seemed to aim at. But moving on to number 6. As I stated on my breakdown of the sneak peek scene from Season 3, John Smith is gonna be going places. He's clearly, and is now confirmed by the synopsis, going to be the Nazis' favorite cup of tea. From their very own perspective, his heroism at the very end of Season 2, his effort to stop a war that could have cost him dearly, uncovering the killer of Hitler, that's all going to work in his favor. Unfortunately though, that is all gonna be too late, and all for nothing. The synopsis has made the reveal. Thomas will be dead and gone for good come Season 3. So my assumption that the trailer scene does happen right away and before Smith makes it back to New York seems to be spot on. But moving on to number 7. Now the program mentioned on the synopsis, the one John Smith would learn of, is pretty much the one that has been teased by the trailer. John is gonna come to learn of both interdimensional travel and the fact that Nazi scientists are working on figuring out how it all works in order to use it for their own benefit, of course. However though, for my John Smith related predictions, you could always check out my trailer breakdown video. Take it into consideration though, I didn't know of the synopsis until after I uploaded that video. So if it does sound like I'm predicting something that's already been made clear by the synopsis, you should understand. But moving on to number 8. So a while back, and by a while I mean a really long while, like over 3 months ago, I uploaded this video in which I discussed the introduction of new characters to the Man in the High Castle. Now among those new characters there was Jason O'Mara's Wyatt Price and J. Edgar Hoover. Only the J. Edgar Hoover we'll get to see on The Man in the High Castle is not going to be the extremely powerful and controversial one we know historically. Back then, I suspected they would present us with at least the alternate reality's J. Edgar Hoover, and hoped they would present us with another one on the show's timeline. And it seems my hopes and wishes on this one will come true. Now back then I also stated that if it were to be the case, he would possibly end up being less powerful, but probably as controversial. And it seems he's gonna be one of both, if not actually both powerful and controversial. But there is also another historically familiar name in there, one Lincoln Rockwell, the man known for founding the American Nazi Party. Now while we haven't seen the character before, he's already gotten an airport named after him on the show. But along with Hoover, they are both going to make enemies of John Smith over the course of Season 3. Now while I believe Smith will be able to handle the two of them, I think he's gonna have a lot on his plate with Thomas dying, and with him possibly making a decision to switch sides, something that I'm highly expecting for Season 3. But with that being said, my work here is done, so let me know what you thought of the synopsis and the trailer. Let me know as well if you have any predictions of your own for the third season of The Man in the High Castle. And if you like the content of this video, let me know by slapping it a much appreciated like, and while you're at it, you could always subscribe and enable notifications. But until I see you next time, thank you all for watching, and have a good one.